You already know. I'm around the table again, yeah? I'm around the table again. And I've got some important people with me. Cultural commentator, Zeze. What go on?
Hi.
Yeah? YouTuber, Sharky. What's going on, my brother?
What's up?
Come on.
We're here.
Don't get spud.
Oh, come on. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about. JD in a duffel bag up front. How's everyone enjoying the weather now that, like, on the day that we're recording, it's pouring with rain? Because everyone was a little bit upset about the heat. Huh?
There's no middle ground. Do you know what? It was nice in the evenings when it got to about 6-7 o'clock.
Okay.
And you could breathe and there was a bit of chill. But
that was
I like this weather.
You like this? No, you don't.
So you don't.
No, you don't.
I like gloom. I prefer gloom.
Gloom?
British heat I can't handle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not nice.
Do you like gloom, no rain? Because I can do, the temperature outside is quite nice now, but the rain is what's killing me.
And it's the consistent droppage of the rain.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anyone could love that. Like,
I know.
other than, you know, like maybe one of them, like, you know, you might be out with a partner or something on a romantic vibe, or, do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe there's a little bit of that, but not as a whole, as in like, oh, you know what, like, I love rainy season.
You mean like in the films when he comes to get you back and he's running in the rain?
Yeah.
I miss you, Zeze.
Yeah. So their heads poking out through the sunroof in the whip. You get what I'm saying? But I don't understand. Like, see, for me though, even while we're just on the heat thing quickly, like, the English weather in terms of heat is not the great. We don't get the great sun. Like when I'm in Jamaica in particular, like I always feel like that sun feels a bit more refreshing. Like here, it feels like the sun hogs me, but I'm all right with it. The only issue I have with is the sleep. So it's like at nighttime, I can't sleep. My house is super hot and I can't do that. If we could cut off the heat between like 11 and 5 in the morning, I wouldn't have any complaints.
Or if most houses had inbuilt AC, then we'd be okay.
Yeah, but then what's the point of having AC if we only have 2 weeks of sun?
This
do
is
you get
very
what
true.
I'm saying?
And the fans are too noisy.
You must have aircon in that yard.
Yeah, no, I was going to
say. See, have you seen the
I've
yard
got
he lives in?
No,
I've got AC. I've got AC.
So
I
that's
thought
why
so.
That's why he was silent. He's just like, oh, sorry, I don't live that struggle life. He's quiet in the corner.
Let's talk about that actually, Sharky. Let's talk about the yard, yeah? Because there's like a few of you that live there. Chunks lives with you and stuff like that. There's a bunch of you all friends, right? And it's a yard that you live in together. How did that?
How did that come about?
Yeah.
Well, basically, we kind of finesse the system. You know what I mean? We basically we're all best friends, all YouTubers, and then we went to a bunch of networks and we said, yo, we'll put a group together if you guys get us in a house. That's basically it.
Mad.
Bunch of meetings, like over months and months and months of work, and then they agreed.
Nah, do you know what? Honourable shout out to you
Like,
still.
that's sick.
Honourable shout out to you still.
Now
and there's aircon in there.
And there's aircon in there.
See, while we're sitting here
I
talking
know
about the
about
struggle.
fans. That's why he was silent. That's why he was silent. That's why he was looking like, I get it.
Before last year, I mean,
He felt the struggle.
Yeah. You felt okay, cool.
So he can relate.
A little bit.
yeah, I could.
I noticed
Muscle
as well
memory,
that
like-
you did 7 days of just like water fast.
Yes, oh my days. Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah, talk on that.
I ended up doing 5 days.
5
I
days.
did the last 2 days.
Why?
I just couldn't walk.
Mad.
So yeah, I went no food, just water for like over 100 something hours. Just water.
What was the purpose of it? Like,
Yeah, why would you do that to yourself?
I know that I know it's a thing though, because I saw.
That's literally what it is. I'm a YouTuber. So I was
Yeah,
like,
fair content.
What can I do? Yeah, content.
Yeah.
I'd literally do it. If it wasn't for YouTube, I would never do it.
But some people actually do that though.
I've seen people that do it they just actually do it for a cleanse.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Wasn't there a thing that everyone was doing? Like
Yeah.
Carla, they all done it together at one point.
Yeah.
Where
Carla, Shaka, Buck, I think
Yeah.
Kano did it. Bashi did it, I think as well.
Oh, wow.
They were doing like, I think it was between Sunday and Tuesday, like no water, like just water,
Yeah.
like nothing
Yeah.
else.
Yeah,
but I think it was
that's
for, or maybe they might have done a whole week. I'm not sure, but it was just for cleanse purposes.
No, I can't do that.
I made sure I researched before I did it.
Yeah.
It's got benefits for sure.
How are you, Zeze?
I'm alright, you know.
Yeah.
Same old, you know.
Fully out here though, to bits. It's so like, you know what? It's funny because I remember I saw your Scarf Diaries.
Yeah, my Headscarf Diaries that I do, yeah.
Time ago. And then I was always thinking, yeah, do you know what? Like, yeah, you need to come on my pod and that, have a conversation or whatnot. You came on, you remember that, right? Time ago.
That was maybe like,
Was it 3 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah.
Boy, since then, you know what I mean? 82K up on the gram and that.
I know.
Bare controversy.
It's not. It's just me giving my opinion. It just
No, of
happens.
course, I get it.
And I just don't think people are like used to people giving their unedited opinion. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I understand it, and I have elements of it because I've been doing that on my podcast and stuff. So every once in a while, there will always be someone or a group of people who are super upset or outraged about some of the things that is being said on it. I think with you tuck into certain subjects a lot more consistently than I do. Right. So naturally there's going to be a whole load of that. But I feel like it's really good in the way that you're still able to engage and encourage the debates, because I think when I watch what you do, I feel like you're a person who like question status quo. I feel like you try to sort of look at the double standards in the isms in particular. Do you get what I'm saying? 100%. And with that becomes bare conversation.
Because
you know what I mean?
everyone, and I think with me as well, I'm not always like on a side. You know, like there's some people, they always stick to like, my thing is feminism, so I will always, no matter if I can see that there's something that's contradicting, I'm just going to talk about that. Whereas me, one day I might side with feminism, one day I might decide to I think what they're saying is rubbish. Because sometimes people say, oh, you're always bringing down women. I'm like, wait a minute, like how did we get to I'm bringing down, just because I might want to ask a question about why do women do this, or do you get what I mean?
I think sometimes, you know what it is, because I'm like that as well. I go with what I just feel is right and what I feel is wrong. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, like if you feel like you're supposed to champion a certain group or whatever, then you are almost obliged to say that something is right when it is wrong. Do you get me?
You might not think this one like deserves to be like argued about, but then they're like, oh, but you start complaining about this one. Yeah. Why are you not complaining about this one? And then suddenly it's like people start pulling up on everything. Yeah. It happens all the time. It's the worst.
I do love it when I see people's, like, when I feel like I see, you know, someone really being held accountable for stuff that they said, though. I do really like that whenever that does happen. Yeah, I do.
If it's deserved.
I just think sometimes it's fake. I think like when people do that, it's like fake outrage. Do you get what I mean? Because it's like, and I think I experienced it was fake outrage when I interviewed that Gliz guy.
Who's Gliz again?
The guy that basically said all the stuff about, he did that.
He's the rapper.
Yeah, the white guy.
He's
and then
Wanason's friend.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what you're talking about, so basically he done this freestyle, he spoke in Yoruba, it went viral, everyone got really excited, and then they found all his old tweets of him like going at black women and Nigerians and all this stuff, and everyone was really upset about it. And then I done an interview with him like 5 days after I released it, and apparently I was really horrible to him. Like I got dragged on Twitter. Like black women were dragging me on Twitter because I was horrible to him after they had seen all the tweets that he had said about black women. And that's when I realized like it's just fake outrage, innit? It's just for that moment, everyone gets excited. It's something to do, and then after that, no one cares. That's for real. I think like it usually it's easy to cancel someone when you ain't really. I've said this a bunch of times. When you ain't emotionally invested in that person, it's easy to just say because you just do it, innit? But when you are emotionally invested, it's very different then. Like no one don't really want to fight that fight then and stuff. But now that we can do this, now that there's this, like people just go and just like the thumbs are way more expressive than the actual brain. Do you get me?
Nowadays, it's 2020. Twitter's crazy.
I wanna sort of like paint a picture of your upbringing and where you've come from and stuff. So I'm just gonna go like all the way back and just kind of just lift it until we get here, but
feels like we're about to go into a counselling session.
I need this. I really need
this. Therapy.
So where were your parents from?
Somalia.
Did you was you born there or did you grow up here?
I grew up here. I was born in Holland.
Oh, for real?
In the Netherlands, but I lived here my whole life. I came when I was like 2, 3. So.
Oh, okay. Do you remember what it was like when you came here?
No, I was too young to remember. I mean, what, the move? Or just like from when I was growing up here? Yeah,
no, from the move, like when you got here as a super young child. Do you remember that? Do you remember the change?
No, not really. I was too young. Too young. So everything I remember is just London. Like that's all I remember. My whole upbringing's been in London. So.
Okay, and which part of London did you grow up in?
Oh, everywhere, man. I'm a traveller. Everywhere.
So you moved around.
Because like we've been moved around a lot. We had like lots of temporary accommodations, but mainly from Northwest. Like my whole last 10, 11 years I've been living in Northwest London. But first place we moved to was Southwest in Kingston.
Okay.
And I went primary school there. And that was it was cool. I mean, it was a mix, because there was like a nice side of it where it was like when I went primary school and stuff, it was like really nice. And then where I lived was like flats and estates and stuff. And there was always this dog with a bandana. Always used to chase me. I don't know why I had a bandana. I swear. That's all I remember. It was a dog with a bandana. I had I can't remember what colour it was. I had a bandana around his neck. He used to chase me every day to the shop. That's my only memory of Kingston. And then I went to Enfield in North London.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in Enfield for 2 years. 2 years. And then I came to Northwest.
Oh man.
And then the rest of my upbringing has been Northwest London. So
fair.
Yeah.
You, Zeze, like, where's your parents from?
Jamaica.
Jamaica. Okay,
Yeah.
gang. Where, like, which part of London did you grow up in though?
I grew up in Hackney, Stoke Newton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
13 years old. Paint that picture for me. Like, what was your environment like?
Oh my god! So then I was in secondary school. I went to Sylvia Young Theatre School.
Oh, sick! Yeah,
full time. So that was like a good experience for me. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we used to do academic work, which was math, science, English, and then Thursday, Friday, we would do vocational. So ballet, tap, jazz, singing, acting, vocal, speech lessons, all that kind of stuff. So that was in Marylebone. So I would always travel from my house in Hackney to Marylebone. And it was a small school. It was only like 150 of us in that school. There was like 3 other black people in my class, maybe. And in the school, there's probably like a handful of us. So I went to school with like predominantly a white school that I went to. But I really enjoyed it. And it was I was just always in like a little bubble in a weird way.
Did you feel different? Did you ever feel different being there?
Yeah, I think that's why I've always kind of been aware of race from like a young age, because I was very aware that there was only like one other black girl in my class, a mixed race girl and a mixed race boy, and there wasn't a lot of us. Do you know what I mean? So, but I don't know if I felt out of place. Maybe looking back now, I might feel like, oh, it was I felt a little bit weird, but when I was there, I didn't ever feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
You knew there was a difference.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel like that there was so much of an issue in some sense.
Yeah. And like, even though I grew up in Hackney, like now if I meet someone, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll grow up in Stokey. They'll be like, no, you never. And I'll be like, no, I did. They'll be like, I never saw you. And because I never like played out or anything like that. I would just like go to school and come home, and that was it. And I like that. I wasn't involved in my area.
Did your black parents ever have conversations with you about your area, your environment, and like just like the surroundings that you were in?
No, not really, because I grew up with my mum, my gran, and my uncle, so all in one house. And it was a big house. I never felt like, like growing up in Hackney, people used to be like, oh, Hackney's rough, but I never felt like Hackney was rough. Do you get what I mean? That could have been because of the road that I lived on, because of the house that I lived in. So my experience of Hackney is totally different to what someone else's experience of Hackney would be. Do you know what I mean? So
fam, I was never going Hackney at one point. I'll tell you that right now. There was at one point I was not going there. I always remember there's a funny story actually, two similar things when I first got a whip.
Yeah.
And like obviously now I could meet girls like outside my area or whatever. Then I got the postcode now, and then I've gone to whatever area now, ended up in Hackney, left, big estate, 60 man, I'm out. I'm not hanging around to try and work out who's what, this, that. Nah, I just grew up knowing, for me, I just grew up fearful of going to those areas, which is a sad thing in a sense,
That's
it's
what
like
I'm saying.
a sad thing.
That's exactly what I'm saying though. that was never my experience of. I never ever walked in Hackney and thought, oh my god, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not safe, or I could be in danger.
Mm.
That's why I think like Stoke Newton and Hackney, I think it's like one of the best places.
Fair.
personally, especially now it's all gentrified and coffee is like £5.
Of course, the best Starbucks and
smashed avocado for like £10.
yeah, exactly.
It's like everywhere though. It's like Brixton, like
of course.
Yeah.
They're all like, we're hearing about it growing up, Hackney, Brixton. It all sounds scary.
Yeah, Peckham.
Peckham, yeah.
Oh my God, I went to Peckham the other day. I was like,
it's
what?
different. It's different. And like prior to COVID, like Peckham was having a lot of day parties and raves and this, that, and the other. And it was always funny to me hearing like, you know, meeting people and saying, like, what are you up to this weekend? And like, I'm just going to Peckham with my friends. And I'm like, what?
Exactly.
That's crazy to me. But see, with all the moving that you did, did you keep moving school too, or was you like, did you stay in one?
Yeah, I went to 2 primary schools, 2 high schools.
What was your high school years like?
Similar to Zeze, I never felt out of place. Like I never really like, when I was there, I just felt fine, and like I had all my friends. But to be fair, the school I went to was like, it was completely opposite to like a lot of people. I had 2 white kids in my year.
Mad.
Really?
It's full of Asians and like people like me, like black people, Somali people. Yeah, it's full. Like it's weird.
Wow.
The first high school I went to in Enfield, it was me and one other Somali boy and a couple, like a handful of like black kids. But then the one I went to in Harrow, I went to Harrow High, 2 white kids in my whole year.
Crazy.
Weird, isn't it?
You know, I yearned for that.
Yeah.
Because I went to a school that was predominantly white.
Yeah.
So yeah, I yearned for that. And like, I think, you know, I look back at some of those years in particular, and there were certain things like moments in school that made me be more aware of race because of conversations that I had with my mum and stuff like that, but also the way that some certain people were treated in school. And like in my school, if I'm being honest, like not only was it like blacks found it a bit difficult in school in the first couple of years, but Somalis in particular also found it very tough. And I remember like there was like a one lightning bolt moment in my head, where like my mum used to say to me, this used to happen to me when I was in school, that used to happen to me. She'd tell me about her experiences and stuff, Then I used to see like the way that some people used to treat Somalis in my school, and then I was kind of like, hold on a minute, that was the way that my mum used to be treated in school, which then made me think, like this can't even, you know, like I had this light bulb moment of like, hold on a minute, man need to kind of do something about this. We need to kind of rally up and make sure that like everyone is looked after or whatever. So that was like for a few years in my school, there was almost like a little standoff.
We grew up arguing with black kids because black kids would be like, Somalis are not black.
Yes,
You know,
right,
I mean, that was like the thing in school. Somalis are not black, and then the Somali kids are arguing, what are we then? Like I wasn't really involved in that, but it was like that growing up. It was always like that growing up, and there's still bits of it now, where it's like Somalis not black. I'm like, why? They're like, because you guys are more of like an Arab culture, and I'm like, but what's
Where
black?
does that come from,
what's
though?
black? I don't get it. What's black? We're from Africa. We've got the same skin color.
I think these because some people identify as not being black. Do you know what I mean? So it's like mixed race people. Sometimes they identify as mixed race, not black. Do you get what I mean? So I think it depends on who you come in contact with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's another argument they had with the not black thing. It was like with like slavery and stuff. Although you guys never really suffer from like slavery or all that stuff. And I'm like, but is that what it means to be black?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Which is quite worrying.
Like, do you know it's mad,
what's the criteria?
Fam, do you know there's like a big history before slavery?
Exactly.
That had, like,
that's what I'm saying. Mad. It's like, what's the criteria of being black? Is it skin color? Is it what continent you're from? Is it what is it? Culture? I don't get it. But it was always Somalis aren't black.
Yeah.
And then it's like you can't use the N-word, or it's like now you're being
That's
stupid.
not.
You know what I mean? Like, now you're being stupid. I'm like, what's going on? But no, that was the upbringing. But it's
did you used to have like issues and stuff with like your food and stuff? Because I always remember like young with like anyone who was of maybe even Caribbeans as well.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you. I don't know because you like came from Hackney, but like there was always this thing about African food and the way that people used to like certain from African countries eat their food and whatever. Yeah, did you
Talking
have
about
that?
Banana rice.
Fact, I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but yeah, go on.
Have you tried banana rice?
What?
It's amazing.
It's lit,
It's
bro.
amazing.
What,
Have
what's
you
this?
tried this?
No.
I was going to get to that, but let's not do that now.
We'll talk about
let's not. Yeah, we'll do that in a bit. But go on. Yeah,
but
go on anyway.
What do you mean in
Like
sense
in
of
school?
African food? How we eat food and
Yeah.
stuff? Not really. I mean, it was all about like the whole banana rice thing. That was the jokes and stuff. Like that's the whole Somali thing. Banana rice, and it's like people used to take the but with you've never had it.
Zeze,
haven't.
let me tell you something.
I've not had it.
I went out with a friend of mine time ago. She took me to a Somali restaurant. Yeah. eating some food and that, yeah. Boom, started tucking into the rice and that, yeah. You see, when I started eating this rice, fam, I was like, honestly, no disrespect to anyone, but I always hear like the jollof rice and all of that. I'm like, yo, why ain't these man talking about this rice over here?
Tell me, what does it look like? Is it like?
I don't know.
It sounds mad, but it's banging.
What rice did you have? Did it have like food colouring in it? Like,
yeah, it had
kind of
food
yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it's cooked. I don't cook, but it's like it's
I need to try
good.
this.
Yeah, go to a Somali restaurant.
Okay.
It's so good. And do they give you like a banana with your plate? Everything they'll just give you like a banana. And you're meant to like kind of like you eat the banana. Like you kind of like chop up a little slice of banana and like.
Okay, so this is going to sound dumb. So the rice is not actually cooked within banana or something like that.
No.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
So it's like separate.
Okay, right.
And then what you do is, I don't know if you use your hands or fork or spoon or whatever, but you have in the same portion, you have little rice and you have a little like slice of banana. You eat at the same time.
Okay.
What?
Right, and I'm going to
Your
try
life will
this.
change.
Right.
Mad.
Just go to any Somali restaurant.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
Trust
try
me.
it still.
The food is really good.
Did you not did you have an idea of what you wanted to do when you was finishing school, or did you have like this thing of I'm gonna go university, I'm gonna do the typical route kind of vibe?
So apparently, my mum says that from the age of 4, I told her that I wanted to do acting. I don't know how this is. If this, mums, they always make up stuff. Like she told me.
Yeah.
Well, according to her, this is what I've always wanted to do, and I originally I wanted to do acting. So that was my thing. That's why I used to do Saturday school, and then that's why I went to Sylvia's, because she felt like I was more academic. I was good, but I was more vocational. Like that's what I was good at. I've always kind of been in the entertainment realm industry, so that's always what I wanted to do. Then when I left Sylvia's, I went to college and I did acting course at college, but I went to a quote unquote normal college. I went to City in Islington, which I think is probably the best thing that happened to me. So my primary school was private, my secondary school was private, and then I went to quote unquote normal college, which I think for me was the best thing to do. I think if I went to another like small college, I would have been too much in a bubble. So like I had that education and that experience, and then I went to like a normal college, which I loved going to City and I loved that, like the culture. I loved like being around loads of black people and like things that I wasn't allowed to do in school. You would never answer back the teacher. Like if I was just like, well, miss, she'd be like, get out the class now. This is rude. You've got an attitude problem. And I'll be like, but I'm just asking a question. My first day at college, like this girl nearly beefed the teacher and I didn't know what was going on. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, whoa. And nothing happened to her. I was just like, what's going on here? But that was a really good experience for me. But I've always wanted to do acting, and then I tried for acting school, which was like RADA and all those type of places, and I didn't get in. Took a year out and travelled a little. I went to LA and I lived in LA for a little while.
Serious?
Nice.
Yeah, okay. And then I came back and I tried again to get into drama school and I didn't get in. And then
did you try acting when you was in LA? Did you try and?
Yeah, I did like a little course over there for like 3 months. That was when I was 18. Like I just said to my mum, I want to go to LA, and my mum was like, what, by yourself? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go by myself. Like I found this school.
Yeah. That's sick.
Like I found this school. And they've got accommodation, and like the girls that I live with, I'd never met them before. They all came. Someone was from Italy, another one was from Canada, and we all stayed together. And that was a really good experience for me. I came back, I tried again for drama school, I didn't get in, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go to uni. And I'd done English literature and creative writing at uni. And that was kind of when I started thinking, maybe this acting thing is not going to work out for me. So I just need to do the normal route of maybe just doing like a normal job or whatever, 9 to 5. Yeah, then I just kind of started
how did that feel though? You see, when you got to a point where you felt like maybe it wasn't going to work out, like maybe you might have to start doing the 9 to 5 thing. Like, what was that like? Because I know that sometimes we could say that and we can just skirt around that, but like that can be quite a big thing. Like when you have that, what you feel is an epiphany of maybe I might not be good enough, or maybe this isn't my calling. You start like second guessing yourself and whatnot. Like, talk a little bit about how you felt around that time.
Yeah, it was hard. Like, I think I started to realize maybe when I was about 20, when I was turning 25, that's when I started to think maybe this is not going to happen anytime soon, and I need to find another route or something that I enjoy, that I can make money from and like live still. And it was hard. It was just because you kind of feel like a failure. You just feel as if, okay, this was my dream. And because of the school that I went to, like I said, you're in a bubble, and everyone kind of, you think you're going to make it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's that environment of you're going to auditions and stuff like that. And, you know, it's all artsy and everyone's just like, this is great. Like, yeah, auditions and all this kind of stuff. And then you come out of that bubble, and then you just think, oh, maybe I'm not going to be Halle Berry, and what am I going to do now? Do you know what I mean? Like, what do I do? Because all my life I thought I was good at this, and now I need to find something else that I'm good at that is not going to like drain the soul out of me as well. Because I think that's what happens with a lot of people that are in entertainment. We have to find normal jobs that might be in an office, and you go to that office every day 9 to 5, and you literally feel like your soul is dying every day, because it's not even connected remotely to anything to do with what you went to school for or what you thought you was going to be. And I had like leading up to my 25th, I would literally like have panic attacks all the time, because I was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna be a failure, because my mum like worked really hard to put me through those schools, and it's kind of you feel like, did she waste all of that money for me to just not amount to anything? Well, what you think equals to amounting to something at the time. Do you get what I mean? So it was hard, but then that's when I kind of started finding another thing, like, oh, okay, I'm good at talking. I like sharing my opinions, and sometimes people think I'm a little bit funny when I say stuff. So maybe I'll just try that and see what happens.
I kind of had the sort of same thing in a sense that like I had a point where it was mad. I was like DJing a lot, and then like I had like a couple of years, like all these bookings, I was doing like parties and stuff, and then I remember having like a couple of years where it felt like while it was going like this, I started having that a bit, and then like things weren't working out, you know, I'm putting on parties and then not as busy, I'm losing money, I'm not making as much and all of that. I got all these bills to pay and stuff, and I literally had like a big moment where I was like, I have to, like, I've got to do something else. And so when I went through that was a hard time in my life, because I'd spent so much time being around music and like being in and out of these different circles and stuff like that, that when there was that point of questioning whether I'm supposed to do this or not, it was like super deflating for me, like super deflating. But then a similar sort of situation happened where like I, you know, started doing radio and these other bits and pieces and having conversations, and then started to like kind of go down a certain route. But for you, Sharky, like, did you know YouTube could be an avenue for you to do stuff?
No, not at all. So I want to go back to like when I was in school and stuff. So YouTube wasn't big when I was in school. Obviously, it wasn't even big. Like, I think KSI was just starting off and stuff like that, but I didn't really watch YouTube. I was trying to chase the dream of being a footballer, like everyone else. I was trying to play football, and then your free kicks are lit, by the way. Thank you. I'm injured right now, so can't do it right now. But so I went to a sports college in Southgate, and I was playing football there for a couple of years, and then I came out of that, and it was time. I didn't get no professional contract, nothing. Like, there was so many kids, and like, I think 1 or 2 made it. It was one of them ones where it's like similar to like you, where you went and it felt like everyone was just going to make it, because we were traveling to games. Like, it felt like living a footballer's life. Like, as a teenager, like, you're traveling to games. We went to a couple like professional clubs, like academies, training centers and stuff like that. And then we came out of it, and then it was like time to like apply for unis and stuff. And I was like, I didn't want to go uni, but the thing was, I'm the oldest of 7 children. Okay. And my mum obviously came to this country, so it's like she's not had a child at uni, so she really wanted me to go to university. So I was like just like stuck between like a rock and a hard place. I don't want to go uni, but then I don't want to let my mum down. Yeah. And at that point, I wasn't even a watcher of YouTube. I didn't even know, like, I barely knew any YouTubers. Like, YouTube was like for music videos at that time. Yeah. And then I didn't apply. Then I applied through clearing, like really late, and then I think I got accepted by like Bedfordshire, and I live in Harlesden. So so I went Bedfordshire, but my mum my mum's like very like my mum's Somali and stuff, so she doesn't want me living out. So she expected me to travel to Bedfordshire every day. Every day to uni. So I did one trip, and I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't do this, mum. I'm not going uni. And then like obviously at that point, like if I didn't go Bedfordshire, I couldn't go uni until like next applying, which was like January or something. So I had like the summer all the way to like January off. I was like watching a couple YouTube videos, and I really got into like this FIFA YouTuber called Spencer Owen, and I was like, I want to try this. Literally, like it was like from not knowing anything about YouTube, not watching YouTube, not having any friends that watch YouTube, to going, I want to try this. And then I made a video. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have a camera. I used my friend's camera. He edited for me. And then literally the rest from there till now, it's like a mix of luck and fate, because I didn't even, like, everyone thinks, especially me and Chunks have known each other like growing up. I didn't know him when I started YouTube. He didn't know me. Chunks had just started YouTube the same month I just started YouTube. And our mutual friend retweeted Chunks' video, just like promoting it. And I clicked on it, and I recognized someone in his video, because me and Chunks are like from the same area. So I just messaged Chunks. I was like, yo man, just seen you start YouTube. I started YouTube as well. I recognize that guy in your video. Is he so and so? And he was like, yeah. And we would start talking from there. And then he was like, yeah, where do you live? And we realized we live 10 minutes away from each other.
Wow.
It was all just like 10 minutes away from each other. We just met up, we started making videos, and like we clicked instantly, like literally instantly. And I was like, this guy's sick. And it was kind of that thing where we're both from the same background, we're both Somali, so it was like, it's easy to get along with someone when you first meet. When
they're from the same ground.
Literally. So it was like we clicked instantly. And then from then it was like, and then obviously another person that like one of my best friends who I live with is called AJ, and he worked with Chunks at Cineworld. So he was a photographer, so he got involved. Like it was just like, it was weird, like the way it all clicked. It was like, it's perfect. Yeah. And then from then on it was like, we were just going on as we go along. And then at that time we were like the first Somali YouTubers. Wow. like the first Somali, like proper Somali YouTubers. And people just gravitated towards us like a lot. I think because we were like, our videos were like really funny. I can say that without being vain. No, our videos were funny. Like our videos were funny. So it was like it was already like people just loved us, and like we could feel ourselves growing and growing and growing. And I was still like in love with football back then, so I was just making pure football videos, while Chunks and that was making like more funny entertainment videos. And then I kind of changed my content to kind of like be more similar, so we're all kind of making similar videos in line, yeah. So like we can share audience, and from there just like we kept growing and growing and growing. And now like it's sick to see, because everyone's a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Like everyone's making a YouTube channel.
That's why I just wanted to stop you quickly, because when you said like I started doing YouTube, like did you, like, what was the idea of just doing YouTube? Was it like, okay, cool, I'm just doing it because I just see someone that I just like doing it, or is it like, you know what, I could actually do something from that? Because at that point, see, like when you started it, it was still really new, so like you wouldn't have known necessarily that there would have been an avenue to possibly make money, or what, or was there?
I knew obviously at that point, it was 2015, so like there was big YouTubers
by then,
but there was not one inkling in my mind that was like, I'm gonna make a career out of this, or I can make money. Not one. I didn't make a penny in my first year.
How did you tell your mum, by the way?
It was hard. Like it was literally because my mum still. I didn't even get to this. My mum still expected me to go uni.
Even now?
Yeah, no. I'm gonna. If my mum's watching this, she's gonna find out something that I've never told her on this podcast exclusively. I'm gonna tell her. But what happened was, she expected me to go uni, to still apply like in the January phase. So I started in August. I had August, September, October, November. I could do whatever I wanted, and that's when I was making YouTube videos for fun. Because in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna go uni. I can't make money from YouTube. I'm not like, I had like 100, 200 subs in like 5 months, but it was just fun. Like especially because I met Chunks and AJ and stuff. It was just fun. If I didn't meet them, I probably would have fell out of it. But it was like, let's go to each other's house, make a video, upload it, and then whatever, like 100 views, people liking it. It's fun. Then like January came, and Mum was like, yeah, time to apply. And I was like, cool, whatever. And then I applied, and then I got accepted to London Met in next to Arsenal. And I went there, and I started in April, and in about a 3 month span, I went in 3 times.
This is the bit that your mum didn't know.
Yeah,
times.
I went in 3 times in the space of 3 months, because every time I was going to uni, I was going to Chunks' house filming videos.
Yeah.
because I really didn't like it.
But can I just say I did that? But not thing.
Yeah.
My mum thought I was working.
This is
My mum thought I was working for a time. Listen, did not have a job, bro. Listen, I got sacked. I was working at a sports shop, bro. I got sacked, yeah. And like I was leaving the yard, like I was going to work. But I was going to my Don's house.
Because I wasn't going in. They called me in. They only called me in. And they were like, what's going on? The attendance was bad. And I was like, oh, my bad, last chance and all that stuff. And I still wasn't going in. So then I got an email saying, yeah, don't come back.
Goodbye.
So I got kicked out of uni. And what happened was, my mum still thought I was going uni. And and so I didn't have a leg to stand on. I had like 700 subscribers in like almost a year. And then what happened was, my mum kept asking me at uni, and I was like, and because I was the oldest child, and no one went to uni before me, I could get away with any lie I wanted. My mum would just believe it. I could be like,
the first one.
Mum, I finished all my modules. I've not got an exam till August. I'm free now. Like I've got nothing.
Because you're giving her the first lie.
Yeah.
Because she ain't hurt.
So
Like
sorry,
if you're like 4 brothers, 5 siblings down,
she knows.
She knows the lie.
She knows what's going on. Yeah.
So I was like, I finished everything. I've passed all my. I don't even know how uni works. So I passed these tests. I've got next test in August. I'm not doing anything. So she was like, yeah, cool. And then that month in May, just after I kicked out, my first viral video came. It was a football video. It's a horrible video. The worst video on my channel. It was a free kick challenge. Not one person scored a free kick, but the video went viral because it was clickbait. But because that video went viral, I went from like 1,000 subscribers to like 20,000 in like less than a month. Yeah. August, September came and it was like, start time for the new year of uni. And I was like, Mum, she still doesn't know now that I got kicked out. She's finding out now. I just told her, yo, my YouTube's doing well. I'm starting to make a bit of money from it, and it wasn't even that much money. And I was like, I really don't like the uni. I start crying, man. I always cry. I cry so much.
Have you done that one as well?
I cry so
much. You know
when
you're about to tell like a lie that you know you shouldn't, and then you start welling up and that.
Crying,
no, when I told my mum I was dropping out of uni, like, have we all dropped out of uni on this table?
I never even went.
When I told my mum that I was dropping out of uni, I told her just as I was about to go out, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back to uni. And then I just walked out the door.
Wow. And what?
I wish I had that strength.
And what did she say? You didn't even give her a chance to respond.
She's like, why haven't you been going to uni? I was like, I told you I don't like it and I'm not going back. And she was just like, what do you mean you're not going back? And I was just like, I just don't want to go back. I don't like it. The same thing. And then mine was bad. I was like in my last year, so I should have just finished it. Days. So she was just like, she's like, what's going on? And then she just didn't talk to me for a long time. Like the atmosphere in the house was like, she even
salty.
She got her friend in as like a mediator to sit down and talk about what was going on, as if I was like going off the rails. I had to sit her down and tell her, I'm actually a good child. Like, you've had an easy ride with me. Like, I've never like brought trouble to your door. I've been a decent child to you. This is maybe the first thing that you might be disappointed in me. Like, chill out. I just don't want to. It just wasn't for me. And she got over it in the end.
With the Zeze stuff now, like, what was the plan with that? Like, because obviously you said that you went like you was thinking about that, having a job and all these things. You probably got a job in that. Yeah. But then you knew that you like had an opinion and that you liked to express it and stuff. So like, what was the initial plan in the beginning when you had that thing of, all right, cool, I've got an opinion and I like to express it?
I don't think there was a plan. It was just like, actually I had a friend and she was just like, what are you doing with your life?
That's Lynn, a good friend though.
Lynn May talks. She's very hard on me sometimes. So she said, what are you doing with your life? Why are you not, like, you want to do acting? What's happening? I was like, oh, it's really hard. So she's like, we should just do anything, like figure out something and just do it. And I was just like, okay. So then I was like, all right, I'm good. I'll do opinions. I'll just talk. And first of all, my first thing I tried was like, I made a YouTube channel and
I don't even want to stop you, but I have to stop you quickly. It sounds, like now, when you say, you know what, I got opinions, I want to express them or whatever, it sounds like that sounds normal. But understand, at a point, to say that sounds mad.
It was just like, no one was like really doing it. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to just, talk about things. And I used to talk about everything. I used to talk about sex. I used to talk about that. And I was very also aware that there wasn't really... girls didn't really talk about sex at that time, and like, I was quite raw and candid, so I would just say things like, I'm gonna do this, I do that type of thing. And my first thing, I put it on YouTube and no one watched it. I think like no one cared. So then I thought, let me just use my phone instead of like making it too structured of putting a camera there, filming it, editing it, all this stuff. Let me just hold a phone and do 1 minute videos and see how that works. And people seem to like the 1 minute videos, and it started like sparking debate. So I was like, okay, so I'll just talk about things that I know people like to talk about in group chats, or what you talk about with your friend. And it would literally be, I could have a conversation with you and I'd be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do a Headscarf Diaries about this. And I did that for about a year, I think, and then I just thought the next natural progression would be to do like my own show and just call it the Zeze Millz Show, and see what happens with that. And then that's how I just started doing the Zeze Millz Show. It was just my opinion and talking about things, but just better production, and that's how it started. And it was just, it's kind of like what you're saying, it's just like I never thought, oh, maybe I'm actually going to be able to make money from this, and do this as a thing. But even me, only recently, I've only been able to start doing it as like a full-time thing and not have to have another job. But all up until this point, I've had like doing Zeze Millz, and I've been doing a normal job. Do you know what I mean? But I just made sure, which I always try to say to people, is just, I was lucky to find a job that I also enjoyed. So it wasn't like sucking the soul out of me as well, because I enjoyed my job, because it was kind of was in what I like to do, which was marketing and making sure that certain demographics are reached and talking like, do you know what I mean? So it was kind of just being persistent as well, like just literally always putting out content. And then I think it's weird, you don't realize, like when you just said to me, oh, like you've got 82,000 followers, to me that's just like, oh yeah, right, like I do like that's quite a decent amount of followers to have. So I don't think when you're in it you realize like your progression or how things are like actually working for you. And so when people ask you questions like, oh, how did you do it, it's just like, I don't actually know. Like you don't know. It's like when people like an older lady, she was like, okay, so I'm gonna start YouTube. So how did you just get people to like, and I'm like, I actually don't know. I don't know how I couldn't give you a 5-step saying this is, then do this,
like
then do that.
A certain blueprint. It's funny
because everyone has different blueprints when it comes to YouTube.
I get that all the time with like starting a podcast. So like what advice would you give me? And the thing is, all I can ever say is just be yourself and be consistent. Do you get what I'm saying? Like just be consistently yourself, and you know, hopefully at some point, if you have some stuff that people want to see, they'll gravitate to it. But just don't give up after the first. You know, I kind of had this thing where sometimes like people start a podcast and the podcast might be 2 hours long or whatever, and they'll send it to me like, could you check out my new podcast and that, and like sometimes I would, a lot of the times I wouldn't, not in a disrespectful way, but a lot of the times I wouldn't. But then I kind of came to a point where it was like, wait, before I listen, I actually need to know, because I might invest myself into you, innit? So you're gonna send me one and I might like it, and then a week later I can't see you, another week later I can't see you, then 2 months later I can't see you, then I'll pop up, you pop up next year, and I'm like, what happened to that? Do you know what, it wasn't really, it's like, you know what, you have to be consistent and be persistent, because sometimes with things like that, with like opinion based stuff or personality based stuff or whatnot, people are actually like investing their time into that personality. So that's the only advice that I could ever give to somebody in starting something creative, is just be consistently yourself, you know? I would agree. You have to be consistent, and I think that was with me as well. Even if people didn't like me or don't like me, it's just like, oh well, I'm there. Like you're gonna see me anyway. I'm gonna pop up on your timeline, even if you don't want me to pop up on your timeline. Hi, I'm here. You can't get away from me, and I think that's probably the best thing to do. Have you always been like that? Have you been that one in the friendship group that has always sort of like questioned stuff and like had, you know, like brought up debates within your friendship groups? And just always growing up, I've always been argumentative. Like my mum's always said to me, you always have to get the last word. Are you a but why person? You know, like, but why? But why? You know, like those people, do you know what? I love them and I hate them. The reason why I hate them is because sometimes you can't always answer the but why, But sometimes the but whys are good because it makes you think, yeah, but why?
True.
Yeah, I
You know
am
what
a
I'm
little
saying?
bit like that.
Yeah,
I've always
to ask
kind
questions.
of just been like, yeah, you know, I've always asked questions, and I've always felt like, you know, what I need to say needs to be heard, and I do always have to get the last word in, which is probably
Even now.
I have to, like, you know, I've got better at it
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my personal relationship, because I don't think it's good in personal. What I do, it's
Nah.
good. But personal relationships, I've learned to kind of just bite my tongue sometimes and be like, okay, I'm going to let you have that, but really you're chatting absolute rubbish, but I'm going to let you have it.
But do you speak in your personal relationship? I know I'm deep diving into your thing, but in your personal relationships, when you're debating and that, yeah, are you debating with the thought of actually trying to understand where they're coming from, or is it I know I'm right and that's that?
Sometimes, like early stages, it was to prove that I'm right, and then sometimes I will, if I'm having a debate, so I'll be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Can you say I'm wrong?
No, that's really hard for me to do. That is really
Since I heard I knew it was gonna be
that is really hard for me to say. Like, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I should have, or I can apologize if I've upset somebody. I'm very
Okay.
good at apologizing.
still not wrong.
Yeah,
I can
still
say
not wrong.
sorry. I'll be like, oh, I understand. Like, sorry if you feel like that, etc., etc. But like my female friends as well, we're all quite opinionated and argumentative. So sometimes I'll get on the phone and we'll have like a debate, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. It's really draining now. Like, because I've spent all online arguing, and I've come on the phone, I'm having a debate with you as well. Yeah. But all my friends are like that. All my friends are quite opinionated and have got strong opinions, and I feel like I can do that with women, but with men, I'm very conscious about being argumentative with men in personal capacity anyway, because it's just like, oh God, stress. So I've found myself, especially when it comes to men, and like whether it's romantic or whatever, I'll just be like, oh yeah, you're right. But in my head, I'm like, you're not right. But I'll just say you're right, because I think people have a perception of me anyway that I'm going to be argumentative all the time.
Yeah. Until they meet you in person, it's not always like
it's
that.
Not, no, like it's, and
Balance.
as I've started to actually like having to do this, it's not like I still enjoy it, but now it is actually work.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to have a debate with anyone. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I just want to have a conversation because it's draining, because like we're gonna talk here now, and then I'm gonna go and talk, and then someone else wants to have an in-depth talk with me, and I'm just like, no, I've literally just spoken for. I don't think people realize that with what we do, it's draining.
What? Of course.
Like talking is draining. Like it's like, oh.
Do you know how difficult it was? I had to film content at my house. For me,
the
reason
lockdown.
why, during lockdown, because my thing is, when I'm outside, I'm here. I have to like mingle with people. I have to socialize and stuff like that, and I appreciate it. Trust me, I'll have conversations with people. I can go in any room and chat to anyone. But see, when I'm in my yard, I'm dead to the world. There's like, you can't get me. So, and I need that for the balance, because if I don't have that, then I can't give this. Yeah. And so for me, when it was time to like record in my house, in my place of comfort, I found it very difficult, because now I'm having to, you know, get myself in the vibe of having a conversation, or have a debate, or unpack something that I just weren't so much in that space to do. Do you get what I'm saying? I got a mad question that came to my head too. Yeah.
Go on then.
All right. So just going back a little bit. Yeah. What was your idea? Not now, but like younger, your idea of a powerful woman. What was that?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever, when I was growing up, like looked at women and was like, you're powerful. I just looked at them and thought, you're a human being, if that makes sense. Sometimes I think there's this like extra pressure on women, especially black women, to be like these strong people all the time. But like growing up with my gran and my mum, now when I look back, I realize that they were strong, and they were like, they done everything that they could to make sure everything. But growing up, that was just the positive women that I had around me. Do you get what I mean? Those are the women that like I looked up to. Those are the people that I just thought, okay, this is, you work, you make sure you look after your family, you make sure, do you know what I mean? But I don't think I looked at anybody outside of my family unit and thought, oh my God, that is a strong, powerful woman, apart from the women inside, like around me. Do you know what I mean? I might watch, you know, MTV and see Beyonce, but I never looked at Beyonce and thought, you're a powerful woman. Do you get what I mean? How I feel like the younger generation look up to a lot of these people now. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I looked up to...
Yeah. No, I hear that.
Do you know what I mean? Now I'm older, I can look at people and be like, wow, what you've done is amazing, and etc. But I don't think I like idolized anybody and thought you're, you know, do you get what I mean?
What about beauty?
Beauty, yeah. I think beauty, you just, whatever was like rammed down your throat. Do you know what I mean? So
and
I
what
used
was
to,
that?
Moesha, One on One, you watch MT Cribs, you'd watch stuff like The Best Man with like Nia Long and all those things. So I feel like when I was growing up, I did have like a decent representation of what like of black beauty. There's a variety of black beauty. Do you get what I mean? And then you just like mainstream media as well, which was like your hair had to be a certain type of way, all those type of things that when you, as you grow older, you realize, oh, this is why I think my hair should look like this, and this is why, because that's what was rammed down our throat. But now growing up, I don't think there's like a level representation of what beauty is. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just one thing is like rammed down our throats. This is what beauty should look like. You see it, you go on this, you go on that. There's one type of girl that you always see, and that's why I think there needs to be like a level playing field of what beauty is, because that's why I saw something yesterday on Twitter, and this guy said his 12-year-old niece, I don't know if you saw it, did have quite a few retweets and stuff. He said his 12-year-old niece was like, oh, I want to look like this. And the picture,
when she was crying?
Yeah, no,
is that when she was crying?
Yeah, the woman this woman in bikini, and her body just didn't even look real. And this is what is like being rammed down.
I can't lie, that scares me.
Yeah, and he was just like, she was googling how to get hips, how to do this, how to all this stuff at 12, and I'm just like, that's mad to me. Do you know? I don't feel like growing up I had pressures of my body needs to look like this. Like I didn't wear makeup till the age of like maybe 18, maybe not even that. Do you get what I mean? I wasn't allowed to like wear mascara. I wasn't allowed to like gel my baby hairs. That I wasn't allowed to do any of that. I remember one time I went to a Destiny Child concert, and because I went to the school I went to, the girls they used to put makeup on. It was like, because I don't know, they just always wear makeup. And I remember I put mascara on, and I met my mum at Wembley Arena. She was like, I went with my friend, right? And I had put mascara on, and she looked at me, she went, have you got mascara on? And I was like, yeah. She's like, when you get inside, you better go and wash that off right now. And I was just like, it's just a little bit of mascara. She's like, no, like you're not wearing any makeup. And now when I look at girls that are like 14, they're doing full face contour.
What? 14?
Like
6?
Like
what?
13. And I just think it's too much.
Listen, I'm seeing 7-year-olds and that with big makeup and that, like walking down the street, like looking like not looking like, but you understand what I'm saying? Like
it's too much.
It's nuts. I'm like, raw. Like, okay, wait, is it a thing of, you know what? Like you see it on the TV and you don't want your kid to miss out. Yeah. Because there's that, or is it like, rah, is there a conversation of saying, rah, you know, it's a little bit too early, because you know what? Yeah, if they're doing that at this age now, then by the time they get to like 13, 14, the yearn to want to look a certain way is going to be heightened in an extreme way.
From makeup to like, if they're doing makeup like 7, 8, what they're seeing online, when it gets like 13, 14, they're like, I want this body, like, and they're going to be doing like, do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's crazy. Like then they're going to be doing crazy stuff to like try and look a certain way physically. It's scary.
I know that you was like proper into football. Was you deflated at one point of like, rah, like I'm not gonna make it as a footballer and I'm gonna be a YouTuber or work in the YouTube field, but obviously it's very different to actually being a footballer. Like talk about what was going on in your mind around all of that.
I mean, I knew pretty early I was never going to be a footballer. I mean, when you get to the age of like 16, if you're not playing at like a crazy high level, it's like, you know. But when I started doing well on YouTube in the football scene, I felt that passion again, because I was doing football videos and I was I played in a stadium in Newcastle, like St James's Park. Like I was doing cool stuff within the football field in YouTube. So it's like next best thing.
Yeah.
So then it's like I was kind of like reliving my dream all over again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I'm glad I'm doing this now, because YouTube now is like the footballer. Being a YouTuber now is like being a footballer when I was in school. Like if you ask every kid now what you want to be when you're older, 70% of them are going to say I want to be a YouTuber. Yeah, whereas back in the day it was I want to be a footballer. So like effectively like we're like the footballers.
Yeah, well, for real.
Yeah, so it's like didn't get to be a footballer, but now I'm like a YouTuber, and this is the new coolest job that every kid wants to do. So I mean, it all worked out.
Silver linings, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not. I feel like that's kind of sick as well, because when I watch like some of the YouTubers that work within the football field, in particular, I do look at those moments of. There's one actually with Vujanic, and he's a YouTuber as well, and he's a Liverpool supporter, and I'll never forget watching a video of him being in goal, and Steven Gerrard, who was playing for Liverpool at the time, did a free kick while he was in goal, and obviously he didn't save it. I mean, you can see like the level in like when someone like that kicks a ball, it's a complete mad thing.
Of course.
But I remember like looking at that thinking, I don't know if people realize how special that moment would be for him. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? This is his idol, and he's on a pitch in a goal, attempting to save a ball from his idol. Like it's mad, and you see better of that with so people working in the football side of YouTube.
Yeah, I think that as well, because I've worked with footballers, and I'm like, if I told myself this when I was 16, 17, I'll be like, this is crazy. Do you know what I mean? But it's weird, because I was talking to my friends about this the other day. It was like when you're in this field now, you're kind of numb to it. So when I do a shoot with a footballer, I'm not like starstruck. I'm not like, oh, this is crazy. I'm just like, oh, I'm doing a shoot, I'm going for a shoot, I'm doing this, oh, it's cool, I'm doing it with a footballer. But it's like, because I've like been doing this for so long, it's like it's kind of normal. And then once a year I'll sit in my room and I'll be like, yo,
I did that with so and so.
I was in Spain earlier this year in the Bernabeu, the Rangers Stadium, on the pitch. I'm like, what the hell? But when I was there, I was like, just doing my thing.
And boy better know, footballers are human beings, bro.
Oh, yeah,
they have time off. And on their time off, they go on YouTube. And they know about man. Do you understand what I'm saying? So for them, it's a lot of them, that's an exciting moment for them. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, it's crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that as well. Like when a footballer will follow me on Instagram, I'm like, because it feels like they're footballers, like they're in a whole different world. And then you just realize they watch YouTube. It's crazy.
What like kind of challenges did you have in your industry though, or in your come up?
Because I was like part of like a little friendship group. We did everything together. Do you know what I mean? But like early days, it was like you could see a bit of a difference where we'd go to like gaming events, and because we'd dress in tracksuits, like we're dressed in tracksuits, caps, all that stuff, like it's normal. But then we'd go to like gaming events where it's like a lot of like gamers and like children who like, I don't know, like people call them nerds, but like, do you know what I mean? But it's like we'd go there, and then it's like, it's kind of like we stick out like a sore thumb. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's weird. Like, I don't know, you'd notice like any like representatives and stuff, they won't really come up to us, talk to us that much. Especially when we're smaller. Now that obviously we're a lot bigger, it's like so much easier. But back then there wasn't like a lot of representation of people from like urban backgrounds. Do you know what I mean? Like now it's like there's so much, like just from Northwest London there's like a whole handful. Like I was watching, we did one with Lippy and Taser, they're both from like similar area to me. It's like there's so much people from like us. There's not as much issues now. It's like we're the cool ones now. But back then it was like, you guys are different, this is a gaming event, what are you doing here, kind of thing. You know, I kind of felt it, but because we're always together, it was like, we're in a bubble.
You had each other.
It was in a bubble, so kind of like
had each other.
I didn't really feel it too much, but I could tell.
That's fair. Do you know what? Standing Night is lit. Trust me when I tell you. I know you posted a picture just recently, actually, where everyone's in white, and I think the caption was, even when I try to stand out, I can't. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about being different and not necessarily doing what is the status quo. You get me? Because I know you're definitely not on the standing in thing.
Do you know what though? It wasn't. I don't think it was. I don't think it was deliberate. I don't think I deliberately was like, I'm gonna do something different. It was just like, as time was going on, I realized, oh, there's not really anyone else that's giving their opinion, like maybe how I give my opinion, of like not sugarcoating anything. I would literally just say, you're rubbish and I don't like it. You're cool, but I don't like what your music is. So, or I don't actually like you as a person. I think And I think in the beginning it was shocking because, number one, I think me being a female does have something to do with it. Me being a woman. So it always seemed, and in the early stages, it always seemed like it was me going against like rappers. Yeah. So it was always that thing of, this woman is going against all these male rappers, and I think that was a big thing in the beginning. I just think that I always say it as well, that one thing that I did do deliberately was just like little things of, when I started Headscarf Diaries because I noticed that there wasn't women on the internet that were doing vlogs without loads of makeup on. So I made it a thing of, I'm not going to wear makeup and on my things, and I'm going to literally be in my natural state. And so I just found a little niche, and that's what I always say to people, like, find a little niche. And there's always going to be loads of something. There's always going to be loads of YouTubers. There's always going to be someone else doing, you know, a football vlog or whatever, or giving their opinion. You just have to find something that everyone else is not doing and then make that your thing. And I think that's what I did. My main thing was like, just try be relatable, or anything that you're going through, there's probably like loads of other women that are going through it, or anyone else is going through it. So that's what I just tried to find, like relatable topics that loads of people could relate to. Being young men and having opinions on like rappers and stuff like that, there was obviously a lot of feelings and a lot of sensitivity. But I think that like the energy was very different to us, maybe because of that, than it would have been to you, because you're essentially a woman and that as well. And there's a lot of people that were like, you get what I'm saying? Like, what, like some people would just naturally just assume like, oh, what do you know? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But then I started to notice as well that there was like almost not like a change in the way that you was doing things, but I noticed that when you was saying just now that like when you was talking about, you know, your experience as a black woman and having those type of conversations, I started to see how impactful those conversations were having, and like how much people gravitated to you on those, even though you may have had a lot of people who may not have agreed with some of the stuff that you were saying or whatever, but that's what those conversations are there for. Those you're not supposed to have those conversations for everyone to agree on. Those conversations, sometimes, I don't know if you do this deliberately, but like sometimes if I say something that could be polarizing, there's a part of me that's like, tell me something that I need that changes this. Yeah. This is what I think. Tell me something that changes this. But sometimes people talk more and more and more and more, and it makes me confirm that what I had in my head. Do you get what I'm saying? What would you say was like a obstacle or a challenge for you in like the journey? Me just being like raw. I think people they still don't really like it sometimes. Do you get what I mean? Do you like that people don't like it? It's annoying sometimes, because I do sometimes think that I could just say something that is very basic, but somehow it gets twisted into, look what you're doing, like, here we go again. Like I could say, you know, Chinese food is like like a factual statement, and someone will come out, here we go again. He's at it, and I'm just like, can I breathe? Like, can I just say one thing? Like I genuinely want to ask a question. You know, like during quarantine on Twitter, I was like getting dragged like every other week because I'd say something, and I asked the question, said, you know, like feminists, do you think that what was that, quarantine radio, do you think that this is good for feminism because there's women twerking half naked? Do you think that this is good? Do you think this is a good direction? Oh God, here we go. And it's just like, I'm genuinely want to know, do you think that this is a natural progression for feminism? Like you're being objectified, but sometimes I can't ask questions, but you know, that's kind of what I've built, and so it's annoying. When it's happening, what do you do? Because I tell you what I do. I log out, but I know sometimes when I see it happening with you, you're going, there's conversations, just in there, like having these conversations and that, and I'm like, sometimes I can't do it because I just like, and this is no disrespect to some people, but there's like, you do get some very smart and intelligent people that can change your perspectives on stuff. But then you do find yourself arguing with stupid people. 100%. And I don't want to,
you put two stupid people, you put a stupid person in the room, you argue with them, and people can't tell the difference. Yeah. So I'm not really like, I personally can't do it, but you seem like how, just talk to me about how you deal with that.
It depends on the topic. And like I said it earlier on, I don't like to be wrong, and I don't like for people to think I'm wrong either. So it's two things. It's like it's the ego thing. I'm not gonna lie, it's the ego thing. It's the thing of like, no, I'm gonna make sure you know that what I'm saying is correct. And then sometimes you're right, I can't be bothered. I literally cannot be bothered. I'll put something up, but I feel on Instagram, I feel I'm better at just leaving things. So I'll put up a thing, and only if like a comment really like good or bad, you know, I might say, oh, I really agree with what you said, or actually no. I will more times put up a video and leave it. I won't really engage in the comments or sometimes. But Twitter, on the other hand, it's like, I feel like everyone on Twitter is just trying to get a one up on everyone. So it's just, you feel, and because of my ego, it's one of those things of, you are not gonna think that you can come on Twitter now and embarrass me in front of everyone. Absolutely not. So then I then end up like, you know, getting drawn out. And everyone, I hate when people say, oh, you seem like you're triggered. Of course I'm triggered. I am. I'm a human being.
Okay,
like,
good.
you know when people are like, oh, you seem like you're triggered.
So yeah, I'm glad you said that.
It's like they try to use it against you.
Of course.
It's
No,
like,
I'm
I'm a normal.
Fam, you know what? I'm upset. That one time, do you know what? This is something that for me in recent years, I have had no problems with saying. You've upset. You know what? Like, that one hurt my feelings. Honorable shout out though to you lot, like just coming together and like almost sticking together and building something together, even like to the point of you lot living. You'll probably get to a stage where you get older, you'll want your own spaces and whatnot, but the memory that you're creating right now is something you'll never forget. Do you know what I mean? And do you guys think about that? Are you good at living in those moments?
We literally we'd speak about it like once every few months. We'd just randomly just go into conversation about it, but I can't speak for the others, but I know I really think about it a lot by myself. And I'm in my room, I'm like, this is crazy, because in a few years' time, I'm like gonna be remembering these times and all that stuff. Like, I always deep it. Like, I always like to like come back to reality and like really, because when you're in it, you don't really think about it too much. It's normal for you. Like, it's a normal life. Oh, you go downstairs and your friends are downstairs, and you go look at the garden and they're filming a video in the garden going crazy, and then I go into the kitchen and AJ's filming a video where he's making the world's biggest Skittle, and it's crazy, and you're just in it. But I sit down and I think, in 10 years' time, I'm going to be like, this is like mad. Do you know what I mean? When I settle down or whatever, have a family, I'm going to look back and like, those are the best years of my life.
Trust me.
While I'm in it, I'm trying to enjoy it as much as I can, really.
What inspires you?
My friends.
Yeah.
The people around me. They inspire me big time, because like, it's... So I live with probably one of the biggest entertainers in the country, Janks, and one of the best YouTubers in the whole country, which is Nico. And I'm looking around, and then and us as a group were like really loved. So I'm looking around and I'm like, these people in the same house as me are like inspirations to like millions of people, and I'm like, I'm inspired by them. Even though they're my friends and they're my brothers, I'm inspired by them. Do you know what I mean? So the people around me are who inspires me, man.
That's dope. Trust me, bro.
I'm inspired by people around me.
Yeah. It's sick when you have that, man. Yeah, like, you're in a yard with creatives and that.
Yeah, must be the energy must be mad.
Seriously,
yeah,
that's
so
proper
sick.
sick still.
It's so sick.
What about you, Zeze? What inspires you?
It's gonna sound corny, but like,
go on, hit me with it.
What inspires me is like change. And people and things that how I felt, making sure that other people don't feel like that. So even when I was growing up, I didn't ever think, oh, I'm not represented, because like I said, I'd watch stuff like Moesha, but that was overseas. Here, when you watch TV, you didn't see yourself that often. But how I felt when I got into like my teens and stuff like that, about like beauty and just self-confidence and all that kind of stuff, I don't want other young girls to feel like that. I want young girls to have representation, and that's what I'm really passionate about, is making sure that, because I don't think people understand what that does to your self-esteem. Do you know what I mean? As a being like a young black woman and being told, or being not told necessarily overtly, but indirectly that you're not pretty or you're not deemed as desirable, or because you look like this, certain things are not going to happen for you, etc., etc. Like working in the entertainment industry, I know, especially when I was doing acting, that it was harder for me as a darker skinned female, and what that does to your confidence over time. Do you know what I mean? So what inspires me is I just want people not to have that same experience. They will, obviously, that's just the world, but I want there to be progression. Do you get what I mean? I want people that do, like, women that do have opinions, to be able to say their opinion and not have the stigma of being like called angry black woman or bitter or all of these things that we get labeled, because, you know, we are literally saying the same thing as anybody else, but when it comes to a black woman, oh, it's because you're angry, you got a chip on your shoulder. Do you know what I mean? So all these like negative labels that are put on us because we are sharing our thoughts and how we feel, I just want that to change, and I don't want that to be a thing, because then you just find yourself like shushing yourself in a way, quieting yourself, because you don't want to be, you know, angry or seem angry, when, like we were saying earlier, these are like all natural feelings. Everyone else can be angry, do you know what I mean? Of course. And everyone else can give their opinion and say how they feel, but I have to think twice about my tone, or because I'm black, basically. Do you know what I mean?
And it's funny because like you put out a tweet as well when you said when other races experience racism, is there as much debate on whether it's wrong or right? Talk on that a little bit.
It's true. It's just like, I just think when it comes to us, everything, we can talk about our experience. We'll say, oh, when this happened, and there'll be a debate on Good Morning Britain whether or not, you know, was that racist or was it not? Like when Piers Morgan was continuously going at Meghan Markle every other day because for whatever reason he had against her, you know, that was up for debate whether that was racism or not. But if he was doing that to anybody else, it would be, that's racism. Like there wouldn't be a discussion on whether this is racism. Do you get what I mean? And when black people when we talk about our experience, we then have to then educate everyone else as to why this is our experience, which is draining. Like when that whole thing happened with the BBC, and that's kind of what triggered it. It was like, why do the BBC then contacted me wanting me to come on and speak about why it was too late and why it's this and why it's that. And I had a conversation with the guy, and I was thinking, do you know what? I was thinking, okay, maybe because you want to educate people. And then I literally got off the phone to him, thought about it, and then I texted him and said, you know what? I'm actually not going to do it. I don't want to do it. And he's like, oh, why not? And I said, because I'm bored of talking about race. I'm bored of having to I'm not bored about talking about race. I'm bored of having to educate big boy establishments like the BBC about things that you should know already. Like you should know this stuff already. Why do I now? And then when I come on, you're going to have somebody there to counteract my argument. And now I'm going to have to argue with that person about why I'm not being oversensitive. And it's just draining. Yeah, for real. Very, very draining. Yeah. And they only want to call on black contributors when it's to do with race.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why don't you call
us
I'm
not really on it, man.
to talk about loads of different things that you talk about? You know what I mean? Exactly. We want to enjoy a random conversation about why you don't juice carrots that way, you should juice it that way. Do you know what I mean? They have all these discussions on, like, do you know what I mean? I've gone on Good Morning and we've spoken about height and all those type of things. Like these are the stuff that we talk about in our group chats as well. We don't every day as black people just sit down talking about the struggle and the woe is me. Exactly. Like we have banter. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. You know, we laugh. So that's why I said that it's not every day up for debate. Yeah, of course. Not, our experience is not up for debate. And is there such thing as this? And is it? Are you being oversensitive? So then that means everyone is being oversensitive. Yeah, for real. Listen, you two, like, it's mad because from a creative point, there's a big common denominator. Yeah. But like you're both in your own lanes doing very, very well, and it's sick to see. It was good to sit down with you. But I've known you for a minute still, but we ain't. You know what I mean? Yeah. We haven't since the last time. Since my podcast. So see what I'm saying? Yeah.
We've met before. Do you remember? You won't remember. No, I just remember now. I met you at
sorry, was I rude?
Euston,
sorry, brother.
King's Cross or Euston. I was coming back from a shoot. I was coming back from like Derby, and it was like a late train. I had to switch trains and all that stuff, and it was like 1 a.m, and it was like literally, it was like just me and you coming off the train. And I came up to, I was like, oh, Chuckie, I like what you do and stuff like that. You weren't rude. You were nice.
What was it? Was late in the night and that?
Late in the night. I was coming back from Euston. I think I took a train from I think I took a train from Nottingham.
Okay.
And I got off at, I think it was Euston.
Oh, do you know, I might have been coming back from doing the, having a conversation with AJ. Might have been, no, which one did I can't remember.
Yeah.
But man.
Yeah. I was talking to you. You were cool. I was like, yeah, I watch Halfcast and I watch all this stuff.
Sick, man.
But yeah, I remember.
Nah, I appreciate that still.
It's a good time.
Thanks for coming and sitting down with me anyway.
Thanks for
JD
having
in the
us.
duffel bag up front.